Hello, I'm Michael Palmer. I'm the town clerk here in Falmouth. I've been a town clerk since 2003, and part of my job is to deal with the document management and storing of documents within the town. And since I've been here, and probably before that, where the town has been in a situation where we've talked about trying to improve the way we handle and store documents. They had been stored in the basement underneath the selectmen's meeting room. Has been a storage room for our documents, and it's that basement room in Town Hall is in a flood zone, so it wasn't the ideal situation. So again, for the last 20 years or so, they've been trying to relocate that room and to identify a building or a room or a space that was available to do this has always been a challenge until we opened the new water filtration plant on Long Pond, and this the building that we're in today is the old water filtration building, and we're using one room in that building for our document storage. It's an historic building. It's actually a very beautiful building, and we're using one of the rooms out of kind of a segmented building. It's almost a perfect fit for the documents that we have to store, because you need to have a building that has limited access, and because we're right near the water source for the town, this building requires that there's limited access coming down here. So it's actually a good use of the room, and we've looked at other different places throughout the town, and we've never been able to come to agreement on where these documents should go. So I think we've found a good place for them to find a home for. Documents, they're kind of fall into a couple different classifications. Some are necessary for the running of the town, and some that become obsolete and are unnecessary. And that's really the basics for the retention schedule and the retention period. A lot of the documents here will have a retention schedule, although there are some permanent records here that are necessary for historic value, or the things that are essential to run the town on the day-to-day basis normally have a retention schedule of anywhere from 3 to 10 years, and then at the 10-year period you're able to get rid of them where their usefulness is really no longer necessary. And moving forward with the project, and it's a good exercise, as anybody knows that has moved from one house to another. You kind of organize and you sift through all the in this case our documents, and you determine their value, their historic value, and whether they're permanent records, whether they're records we need to keep in order to manage and run the town, or in some cases where there were documents that can be destroyed. And doing through that exercise, we're able to transfer all the documents that were in the basement of Town Hall, and we were able to destroy some documents that were no longer necessary to keep. And we refer to the retention schedule set forth by the Secretary of the Commonwealth, the Public Records Division. They have a record inventory, a record retention schedule for all documents, and if we go by that, then we can kind of rotate out the documents that are no longer necessary to run the town. And that's what getting this organizational system here has really been helpful in getting to that point where documents can, after their retention period, can move to be destroyed or shredded or discarded of. And just making this move has allowed us to get a system in place so we don't have documents that are unnecessary to be stored.